What is financial independence?
Yeah, we get this is coming up a lot more, right? The comments are normally, hey, we ask about retirement and retirement age, and well, I don't particularly even want to retire. I maybe want to switch jobs or keep working, because retirement is a thought process of I'm no longer working at all, right?
Yeah.
And rightfully so. That's probably a pretty good definition. But we're getting more and more people that are talking about having some other career on an ongoing basis, or even if they're staying in their current career, they would like to know that they could leave, right?
Yeah. So financial independence is the idea that I don't need to work anymore.
Yep, that's
I
right.
can just leave this current job and my whatever assets or pension incomes I have will replace my salary and I can maintain my standard of living.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's kind of as you were mentioning. That's you look at what you financial independence is achieved when you have enough money combined with incomes that you might be getting, from Social Security eventually or from, a pension,
Yeah.
right? But you got other incomes that could be coming in like rents or whatever. So you look at that, you look at your assets, you assume some withdrawal rate. And, we were talking about this question before the show, and 4% is a number that gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah, I think 4% is a great number if you're just doing napkin math.
Yeah,
If
right.
you're just kind of like, hey, I just want a rough number to shoot for, you could take your salary and say divide it by four, and that would be kind of how much assets will I need to accumulate to have kind of this break point where I could be financially independent.
You can divide it by 0.04
Yeah, so
or
divide by
point
four.
0.4.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
4%.
anyway, but so it takes a lot of money. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there are some sources that are coming in potentially, but if you're looking at financial independence for most people is actually usually being asked before they can get Social Security is what
yeah,
we hear all the time, right? 60 years old or something. But in theory, you'd have to factor that in, because you're eventually going to get Social Security. But Easton's right. You can do the napkin math. You can do, the 4% withdrawal rate. But in our world, there's a lot of criticism about the 4% withdrawal rate and being careful with that. And of course, we don't really use it. We use Monte Carlo simulation inside of a financial plan, and that's the way to really answer this.
yeah. Because usually when you're just taking your salary and you're dividing by 4%, you're you don't usually need 100% of your salary replaced. You
That's right.
need, because of just taxes and other stuff, you probably could get away with 80% and
Yeah,
be okay.
yeah, exactly. And so this is something we get asked all the time, and we can go in and make the plan, set it up, and show somebody what they would have to do, what they would have to save, what age they could do it. There's different parameters, and basically we change the parameters until we get to a point where we can show the person what it would take to get to financial independence at some target age.
Yeah.
And so that's been actually we've been doing more of that with people that aren't retired, in my opinion, recently than I can ever remember. So people are looking at working longer in some cases. We also have the other trend with younger people where they're looking to, retire early,
Way early, yeah.
45 to 55 range. And we have some clients that are really going after that too. So that there's a couple different trends happening. It's interesting.
Yeah, it really depends on, a lot of people want to take the foot off the pedal, essentially. They feel like they're burning themselves out by going so hard and want to have, a point where they can do that.
Yeah, it probably depends, ultimately on, your job. Do you like your job? I read a stat once that most people retire because they don't like their boss. So,
Yeah.
whatever the scenario is. And so, maybe that's not an issue for you and you really like your job, but you do want to know, hey, what would it take for me to be able to, pull the plug at 60 if I wanted to, or even had to, right?
Mhm.
Because sometimes it's, somebody gets laid off, can't get a new job. We had that happen here during the dot-com, bubble bursting. We ran into a lot of kind of middle managers that were in that 55 to 62 range. They had a hard time getting back a job, and so, kind of forced into retirement. It'd be nice to know if I was them that I could retire,
Mhm.
if I had to,
Yeah.
or, what have you. Actually the pandemic pushed a lot of people into retirement at least a few years early.
Yeah.
A lot of teachers, and what have you that we'd worked with that were going to retire in 3 years just decided to retire, after the school year was over in 2020.
Mhm.
So that's a good question.